Hello, and welcome to How to Play D&D, the explainer podcast with one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey, and my ridiculously inadequate pod partner is McCaffery. Not as inadequate as me, because this is my third time trying to actually say the intro.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Fair enough. Third time lucky. You got there in the end.
We got there. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Maybe it's because I'm not wearing a hat today. I don't know.
Maybe.
You're naked.
You're not wearing a hat. I'm not wearing glasses. We're just.
Yeah.
This is our after dark episode. So.
How to play D&D after dark. Yeah. How's your week been? Don't know why you.
I said horrible. You know what? It was going alright until now. Now I just feel like I'm being ridiculed.
Well, that's literally what this podcast is all about.
True.
It's a way of people thinking that if anyone asked where I was when you were murdered, they'd be like, "Look, he was here on this date."
What?
Oh, actually, he's teaching us. He's not being mean to him. He's clearly nice. But subconsciously, I'm making you feel like nothing.
How did this go from being ridiculed to, oh, you're going to be murdered?
Well, that's ridiculing.
What? I mean,
what's the next step?
But surely as well, like, if I'm going to be murdered,
yeah.
Like, you won't be doing the podcast, otherwise you'd be sat here talking to yourself, wondering why I'm not here.
They don't know what date we record this.
True.
It's not the day it goes out.
True.
I've got a window.
Okay, fair enough.
I've got many windows.
Yeah, we do. We have a couple. I can see two.
Prep.
Yeah.
That's all I need, like Batman.
Windows and murder. That's all you need.
Yes.
Yeah.
But enough of that. How's your actual week been?
It's not been too bad. I'm still emotionally recovering from the last Black Shore session, to be honest, and that was over a week ago now.
Yes, but people were hurt, people were killed, and people were recovered, and their bodies laid to rest.
There was a lot of pressure. Like every video or picture we've got of that is mainly just me almost crying, having a breakdown. It's great.
True, yeah.
It's fantastic.
We do post some bits on our stories. We'll post more of like photos we've captured, clips we've got. We kind of try to keep it like comedic rather than seem random at the time if you don't know the context of it. So.
I might just post it anyway. No explanation, just me sat at a table crying.
Yeah, could be anything.
Yeah, it won't even be D&D. It'll just
guess what funeral I'm at. But it's actually just it's a completely fictional funeral. People BBMing you like, are you okay, babe?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
But how's your week been?
It's been good. I feel like this week is a new leaf. A new chapter.
What kind of tree is it though?
It's a giving tree, and it's giving me no fucks.
What?
Don't know.
Oh, no, I don't.
You can tell it's not scripted.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know.
We've been getting a bit of traction on certain things. Do you have anyone you want to mention? Any shout-outs you want to give?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Yes, we actually do have a shout-out to a specific fan. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, it's not you. And it's not you either, which means we must have more than 2 fans.
We have 3 now.
3 fans. This is Akael2620, who had this to say about our classes episode on YouTube the other week. This was terrible, very boring and annoying. You took 6 minutes to get to the actual content. The first 6 minutes were a complete waste. No. And at the moment we're on about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, I think. I've got 2.5 minutes.
We've got 2.5 minutes.
I'm willing to fucking take you to Pound Town, Akael2620.
I mean, it never takes me there anymore.
What's worse? The absolute like cheek of insulting someone on the internet when we're just doing our bit to supply comedy during the saddest life you'll ever live, which is one. Or is it the fact that there were 2,619 people called a cow before you on YouTube alone? I don't know which one it is.
I mean, at the end of the day, he must have really loved the video. Otherwise, he wouldn't comment. So, you know what?
It's good that we've got his attention. And we're on around minute 5 now. So we're getting there, guys. We're really trying our best.
We've got to hit that 6-minute mark every episode now.
Exactly.
If we don't, then...
We're doing him a disservice. He's our number 3 fan.
Number 3 fan.
2620 on YouTube. Number 3 in our life. Okay, and with that, can you guess what the episode's about?
Fans? I don't know.
Very close. Maps. Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is all about maps. For me, when setting the scene, I'm trying to describe or experience the senses as quick as possible to understand where we are. Location, in my opinion, should represent how we feel about the space. Do you agree?
Yes, and how we feel about ourselves.
It's true.
Maps represent our journey to inner peace.
Now I've said my piece with a cow 2620, I feel like I've found myself, you know?
Yeah.
I found my... He told me to go fuck myself, essentially, and without him, I wouldn't have found self-love.
You wouldn't have fucked yourself. You needed permission to go and fuck yourself. So thank you for giving
Thank you so much. It's bad when Lewis had to watch. How do you think he feels?
Yeah.
Delighted. Yeah, this episode is really a discussion about places and how DMs and players can interact with them. I know we've done environments, and we'll do some other bits about other things as topics go on in seasons. But this one really is kind of an amalgamation of those, of like, you know, well, we'll get into it with our questions, but that's the concept for this episode.
I like it. A bit different.
Okay, Lewis.
Nice, me.
How many years left do I have on my life sentence if I identify as a cat? What am I doing?
What's that got to do with maps? If you identify as a cat, first thing you need to do is
9
shoot
lives.
yourself
I've got a life sentence.
9 times.
Fucking hell. Right.
No. I mean, if it's a life sentence, let's say it's about 50 years. What's that in cat years? Like
30, I think it's 35 for life.
Oh, let's say 35 then. What's that? Like, that's only like 6 years, something, isn't it, for a cat? So we'll say you've got 6 years left, and then after that, you've got 6 years left 8 more times.
Yeah. All right. That's quick maths.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Quick maths. I don't actually know the answers to that. Okay. How do you go about naming a place when you name a place?
Oh, usually I'm put on the spot because I forget a name or I don't prepare one because I don't think you're going to ask what that little town in the middle of nowhere is called. So I just make it up on the spot, and it's usually something shit.
Very prepped, very ready.
Yeah. Or use one of those typical fancy name generators and just use them.
There we go. Nothing's right or wrong. Is he wrong? Yes. But is he right? Also, yes, because I'm sure lots of you also do the same.
Exactly. Or sometimes if I'm planning something like my room or something, like a session, and I need a name for a person or a town, I will literally just look around my room and see, like, there's a mug. And then...
Mugwort.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. With mine, it is random. I do think of it.
Okay.
And there could be for any number of reasons why. Not on the spot. But this goes into the next question. Once you have your place named, what's your next step?
In terms of creating a map?
Yes. We'll say the location.
The location. So I think...
What's your next step after naming the place?
A good thing to do is recognise kind of how... First of all, is how big this place is going to be. Let's say if you're doing some kind of town, city, or village, do you want it to be a small village with around 50 to 100 residents? Do you want it to be a town with maybe 400 or 500, or a city with a few thousand? Because once you get a sense of the scale, then you can plan it out better. You can know who's going to be in this town or city and what kind of quests will be there and that kind of thing.
A little DM tip here. Only ever have 3 people living, whether it's a town, a building, or a city, just 3 residents, because otherwise your players will assume that you have names for them all, backstories for them all, and different voice for every single one of those people in the population. And so you should.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a name for all 3,728 residents in your city, then you shouldn't be DMing.
Go get a life.
Go play Stardew Valley or something.
Yeah, go play Stardew Valley.
Don't be playing D&D.
What are the people in Stardew Valley called? Go marry Jessie. I don't know what they're called. I know there's one that everyone fancies in Stardew Valley.
Yeah, there's one that everyone fancies. There's also one that everyone is the kind of, I can cure him, I can help him. You know,
I can fix him.
Yeah, I can fix him.
Is it like the homeless man?
Shane, I think that might be.
Oh, Shane, yeah, not the homeless man.
Fuck
I don't
Shane.
think. Yeah, actually, do you know what? Fuck anyone called Shane.
Yeah.
That's how we're feeling today. Okay. It's a new leaf, a new chapter this week.
We fucked ourselves and we will fuck Shane.
Oh, fuck everyone to get to Shane. Okay. Well, thanks for asking me as well. My next step, after I've named the place, is usually the other way round. I kind of think of the kind of place I want, and then I pick the name based on that. You know, if it is like a swamp, is going to be something that revolves around that idea. It might be, I might Google synonyms for like Latin words
things like
and go into that detail, but that's kind of how I go about it. Population-wise, I don't think about that, strangely enough, when I should, until I'm literally writing the session and I'm like, how much do they need to explore here? Can I be bothered to put 7 locations when really that might take multiple sessions when they it might do them a disservice to drag it out that long.
I suppose it kind of depends on what kind of campaign or quest you're running at the time, because it's like in our Black Shores campaign, when we go to a town or a city, we know for a fact we will not be speaking to every single person because we've got a specific goal and it's time sensitive. So we're not going to spend the entire time there. But if it's like, for example, going to Baldur's Gate again. In Act 3, when you get to Baldur's Gate, you know that there's so many, like, all the developers will have known how many quests they want to put in. They would have known that they need a name and a back, for every person kind of thing.
Everything has a reason to...
Yeah,
even if it's just to mislead,
Exactly, yeah. I think one of my favourite things when coming up with like population and things like that is something that Matt Mercer was talking about when he designs towns and cities. Let's say if you've got a town with 200 people in, well, you're going to need farmers there because you're going to need to be able to feed everyone. You'll probably have a miners guild or something like that. Where are those miners guild going to get their clothes, their equipment, things like that? And it's building the city kind of from the bottom up. I think that's a good way to do it.
That's way better than us.
Yeah.
So who'd have thought Matt Mercer
I know.
doing the right thing?
Matt who?
Who? Okay, I'm very much someone who embraces theatre of the mind to show my players where they are. Never draw maps, nothing like that really, unless I really think you guys aren't going to get it.
Yep.
I would say that you are more of a physical DM, and you usually create things from scratch.
Yeah.
Like whether that's layers to a map, actual pieces. Would you agree with that, and why is that?
I think... Yeah, everyone will have a different DM style. Like you said, I very much like creating physical things to hand out or to show players, things like that, because I like the theatre of the mind stuff, but I think I'm not necessarily as good at describing some things, so I like seeing the excitement in players' faces when they see like a well-designed map. In terms of like the map I ran in the Fandelver campaign we did, that... All I did for that one was, for the Cragmore hideout, where it was just a cave, I drew the cave first, then I cut out the outline for the cave on a second piece of paper and stuck that, made it a bit 3D, and then cut out extra bits, for like the gaps in the rooms, the walkways, so that as players explored, I could take things off. And for things like that are quite simple to do, it's just an extra thing for players to appreciate and for... that's a bit more exciting than just I've printed off a map out.
Right.
That.
Yeah.
That's why I prefer doing it. Not that there's anything wrong
with
it.
No, it's completely different play styles, and I think I honestly think if people are lucky enough to have different sessions going on, it's nice that they're not all similar in the sense that you could go from one DM and have a completely different approach, and that's exciting that it doesn't feel like it's the same thing every time.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't think there's a right way of doing it. It's nice if there's more ways of doing it, if anything.
Yeah, I'd say as well, if you're just starting to DM, I wouldn't even look at what other people do necessarily and try to force yourself to do that. Just test out a few different things, see what works for you. If you like drawing them, that's fine. If you just want to print them, also fine. Or if you don't even want to do a map and you just want to like explain what players see, that's also fine.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you think is most important for players to understand the location they're in? Like, if they're there, what is it that kind of like sets that in stone that, okay, this is I understand this room now, or I kind of understand why I'm here without being told?
I think I wouldn't even say necessarily that there's like a set list or like checklist that players need to know or understand. I think that's more up to that's down to the players. So let's say you've got a tavern that the players need to be in and they don't know why they have to be there. I wouldn't even say it's up to the DM to make it obvious. It's more just the DM's job to tell them what's in the tavern, maybe what it looks like. Is it like a really posh one? Is it run down? Who's in the tavern? Who do they see? and then it's up to the players to kind of explore and put pieces together and do a bit of their own investigating to figure out why they're there. With that being said, it's not that you should just throw your party into every situation and not explain it. It's more just give your players the opportunity to find it out themselves rather than making it obvious. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you say?
No. I think there's got to be reasons for players to be in those locations. It's up to them to find out why.
Yeah.
And I think you can have red herrings as well, but it depends depends on the setting. Like, if you're going to a town, it makes complete sense that there are things to do that don't necessarily matter to the quest. Yeah. But essentially they should all have some kind of like world building to be gained from it. At least that. If it's just a room and you go in and the DM, this is the worst one I think for DMs, they just go, I don't know. Like, as in, they actually have nothing to give as the character, and then you're like, well, I don't know either, so you kind of need to have something for me to take away from this. Whether it's random conversation that doesn't matter. If you just play stupid, then just remove that location from it. If you don't have anything set up, just remove it.
The thing is, even if you don't have anything set up, I'd say make it clear that you've purposely not set anything up. Like I said, never put players in and be like, oh, I don't know what's in there, because you are the one person that should know. Whereas if they go into, let's say, a back room of a tavern and it's literally just a storage room or just whatever it is, then you can literally say, oh yeah, you find nothing in there. There's nothing there. Like, it's okay to have places like that.
Yeah.
And just going off the town one you mentioned, with the red herrings and things, I think important to know for any location when you're building that up is that, and we've mentioned this in almost every other episode, like the environments, the companions and wildlife, that this is a world that exists without your players. So there might be quests there that have nothing to do with anything that they might pick up and things like that.
That's fair. Okay, do you think it's important for players to have a go at trying to build maps to understand, I've put the time and complexity building a place, like what that takes?
I'd say it's not necessary, but it can never hurt. It will,
like with everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you've like put yourself in those shoes, you understand it a bit better and you're a bit more lenient.
Yeah, I think it's going back to how I think we've said before that every player could try and DM once, just so that they understand what the DM does and prepares. There's nothing wrong with them creating their own town and just testing it and just seeing what it's like. Yeah,
cool. Yeah. All right, well, there we go. That's actually surprisingly a long one, even though it felt very fast.
So I am just too quick.
Yeah, the Minuteman, they call him. I don't know why, though.
Hey, I'm almost the Minuteman.
Today's adventure is sadly coming to a close. We are back in next week with the topic. There's 88 keys on a grand piano. Imagine how many keys we would get on a great piano. And as always, thank you for tuning in, and if you like joining on the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram and TikTok at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. I've been Kinsey.
I've been McCaffery.
Good day.
Goodbye.